So I wonder, are we going to see the Darius first pick from H2K? If we don't, you can be sure SKT is going to grab it.
What's interesting about SKT so far in this group stage is when they've been on red side, it's pretty much been Mordekaiser gangplank Lulu for most of the games. They're just taking out power picks.
Yeah.
They haven't been sniping at one, maybe pocket pick coming in. So that's, they're very confident in their ability just without the power picks down to seal the fate of their opponents.
This is what I call the Cloud special if they lock this in, because it's not only Cloud 9, now it's Cloud Templar in Korea as well. Cloud-oriented with Zamumu. It's true. Will they lock it in, though? Answer, probably not.
We've already seen Marin's Renekton against Darius, which will scare them away a little bit from picking Darius first.
Well,
because Sing looking to be a playmaker on Thresh. It was banned by SKT when SKT played them in the previous game.
Yeah, and the Lee Sin often taken out against H2K as well. They're going to have both champions up should they choose to go for it. We could see Bengi just try and deny that pick, but I have a feeling he's just going to play Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and as criticized as Lulex is as a jungler, he's a very good Lee Sin player. The move he pulled earlier today where he smited the minions while he was queuing, then kicked backwards from within the inhibitor turret was really, really impressive. And had, in my opinion, had a more well-known player pulled off that play, it would have been a highlight clip on Reddit for the execution it was.
Well, maybe we'll still see that highlight. I'll upvote it instead.
Well, it's worth noting right now, as we see this Kalista lock-in, Bang is professionally undefeated on Kalista. He has never lost a game on this champion. No one lets him have it. No one lets SK Telecom have it, because how do SK Telecom win? Usually they win out of the strength of the laning phase, and that is not, and their control over Dragon, and that champion is perfect for both.
Well, the funny thing is that Bang actually got to play Kalista a little bit more often than some of the AD carries in Korea because of so many bans being targeted on Marin and on Faker, too.
The other thing with the SKT win rate statistics is, I think, Monty, you were mentioning, since the K and S teams merged, they have close to an 80% win rate as a team.
Yes.
So since Kalista was just released in this season, they're going to have a higher chance of being a very strong win rate for Bang. Of course, though, still undefeated, still impressive.
Okay. Little bit of a taste of Marin's own medicine as a Renekton locked in by H2K. Interesting. But can they Renekton like Marin Renektons?
It's bold, I think, to pick SK Telecom's counter pick into SK Telecom. I'm excited to see how it works out.
It challenges Marin's knowledge of the matchup. And I wonder how much knowledge Adewamne has of that, because it really felt like when Marin had the lane as Renekton against Darius, he got that really slight lead from the early lane swap and then knew exactly how to punish it. I don't actually expect SKT to forfeit that lead to Adewamne in the first place, so it will be a much more testing matchup. Not to mention, it feels like Marin's the one who kind of invented it.
All right. A little bit of a blast from the past as Bengi's going to be taking that Evelynn into the jungle, and Wolf on Alistar would not be a big shock, I suppose.
No, it's a really common Wolf champion.
Yep. For better or for Wolf. Depends on the day.
It's usually for better. He has an extraordinarily high win rate on Alistar. And the Evelynn pick, it's not something we've seen a whole ton of at Worlds, but I think it's still a very strong pick out of the jungle. It's still... Evelynn is always powerful as long as she's somewhat viable, just because you're never going to be able to track her very efficiently. It changes the way you have to ward on the map. So it adds an extra wrinkle of complexity to the way the enemy team has to play.
Yeah. That Jinx pick wouldn't be bad for H2K to grab at this point, I would think. Jinx Thresh, a classic bot lane at this point.
Yeah.
But what is Ryu going to play? What does he dare bring against whatever EasyHoon's going to play?
Yeah, he doesn't get to have the counter pick opportunity here. EasyHoon, not Faker levels of counter picking where it feels like Faker has a counter pick to literally every champion in the game in mid lane.
Yeah.
But Ryu's going to have to be somewhat conservative here. Twisted Fate is actually a good pick. I feel like it used to be more of a risky matchup, but people have started rushing cooldown boots and home guards on him, so it almost gives him the capability to split almost any lane and keep the pressure at least somewhat adequate. So I like that choice.
Yeah, TF.
Also, just great synergy. If we take a look at the side lanes here, there's going to be a ton of follow-up crowd control from Jinx and Thresh and Renekton. So he's got a lot of opportunities to really just chain the gold card into other forms of CC and pick up those kills. So what we could see EasyHoon again play that Rise. We just saw Faker play that matchup, no doubt. They have shared their thoughts on that, even though It was a blind pick rise. Obviously, Faker doing quite well in that lane.
What about a Victor here?
Yeah, depends how much EasyHoon has it. When we see him practicing, it doesn't seem like his favorite champion for the mid lane. That would be Lulu, but of course that has been taken away.
Right.
Azir's also been gone. What do you think,
he
Monty?
had a lot of really good Cassiopeia games a while ago, but it's been a bit of time since Cassiopeia was meta, quote unquote.
And will it be the
Karthus?
So.
Oh boy.
Oh yes, it will. Karthus locked in for EasyHoon. Now this is a champion that we've seen him have very, very strong results on in the past, to say the least.
Wow, I love it. I think it's so interesting to pick this champion right now. Don't follow the Twisted Fate. Just stand in the mid lane, keep on farming, and just use your ult to follow up on that damage.
Yep.
So H2K, that is a very interesting problem to deal with.
SKT has now brought in 2 unique picks to the mid lane for Worlds. They're the only people to play Ryze. Faker's won with it twice, and EasyHoon's the only Karthus thus far.
Olaf, checkmate.
three unique mid lane champions. I was thinking like overall champions.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I'm pretty
3
sure.
in 5 games.
I'm pretty sure
SKT has played.
checkmate is exactly what Faker thought when he locked that Olaf, and he was like, boom, hard countered.
Yeah.
Well,
you know you're in trouble when someone has a counter pick ready for your mid lane Aurelia.
that's true. Well, you know you're in trouble when you're like picking Aurelia blind into the mid lane. I think that's your first sign of trouble right there. Well, guys, the Hoon has been unleashed. He's going to bring Karthus as the coaches shake hands. The game will get loading, and we are about to move right into it. I'm excited. I'm glad EasyHoon's getting a chance to play.
Yeah. I'm also happy he's on a new champion here for Worlds, so it just extends the giant mid lane champion pool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's an old EasyHoon staple, though. If we think about EasyHoon historically, loves these more zone control mages, and I'm excited to see him on it again.
That's right. So be sure to tweet your predictions to @LOLEsports with the hashtag H2KWin or hashtag SKTWin, depending on who you think is going to take it. It's time to move out onto the Rift. And here we go. Our 4th game of the day here in our 2nd day of the 2nd week of group stages here at Worlds 2015.
One thing I want to touch on with H2K is I thought their drafts throughout this group stage have all been very good. This is a great pick composition. They're trying to dissect SK Telecom's lane power. We talked about that. How do they get these leads? Just get the lanes ahead. And Odoamne comes up with the counter pick that we saw Marin debut, and he has a Twisted Fate to come up there, chain that CC. So I think this is a very intelligent strategy by H2K against SKT.
And we even heard Prawley talking earlier as the coach and the person who pushed together these drafts for H2K, that they like to play like SKT. They just know that they're not as clean as them at the execution. So it makes sense that they're picking kind of directly targeted at the way SKT plays. And it means the first 15 minutes of this game are just going to be even more important than they normally are in a League of Legends game.
And when we talk about, of course, the Twisted Fate, that's also an EasyHoon champion. So when you can't deny it, it could have very easily come in for SK Telecom too as the last pick. So grabbing it early, Ryu feeling confident in this part of the draft.
But definitely. Bengi getting some deep wards down. It's mostly been a fan for a little while, although H2K grouping up down to the top path. Meanwhile, some action on mid lane. Ryu getting caught, gets exhausted, can have to flash right into Bengi for the damage. Bang loading some on as well. Ryu doesn't get away. First blood goes to Bang. And I can't think of any other word for that than disaster.
Correct. That is, he had boots as well because he was hoping to have a little bit more mobility in that leaning phase to dodge Karthus defiles, but he was really just trying to deny, I think, Karthus taking some small raptors over the wall for a slight experience advantage. He ends up giving him assist and burning both of his summoner spells.
That is awful.
Right there, just a disaster for Ryu.
And that's not what you need on Twisted Fate. To survive the early laning phase, you need to hold that teleport usually to get a second Doran's Ring or a Doran's Ring, or start building up into some items. So now he's just going to fall behind and get pushed in, and this is really going to set the tempo on the mid lane in a very big way.
I think so. Wolf and Bang now with a bit of a lead early on. They haven't gone back and spent that money yet, obviously, but it's something that H2K is going to definitely be worried about.
Also, having no flash on Twisted Fate, Karthus can absolutely choose to fall back to his turret, and we still have a flash on Bengi here. There's a lot of kill pressure in the mid lane steal, even though EasyHoon burned both of his summoners.
And I'm actually interested to see the way EasyHoon plays this lane as well, because if Karthus actually gets the wave frozen near his turret, he has tremendous gank assistance because all he'd have to do is place the wall on Ryu, which has really long range to get the slow 4 and Eve coming in, who still has flash, and they could actually get some pretty easy gank kills on that side. Be interesting to see how that lane plays out.
Yeah.
Really fast chilling smite onto Bengi with that first recall right at 3 minutes, so he'll be looking for some opportunities. We'll see if he chooses to go ahead and farm it out or whether he wants to try and make some plays.
And that was another big thing about that level 1 kill on Ryu, is that it gave 4 members of SK Telecom assists too, so a little bit extra gold in the pocket early on is so important.
One thing that we've seen about SKT is, especially the games against CDG, they take one mistake like that and they just turn it into a win. They are absolutely unforgiving. They seem to be prepared for every possible scenario, playing their team compositions very well around these disadvantages. See if they can do the same thing here.
Yeah, and the one lane that is the most uninfluenced by the death of Ryu in the early game was the top lane of Ottawamne and Marin, because Marin didn't even pick up an assist despite kind of being down there for the initial engagement. This is actually the spot where the lane wants to be frozen for the gank we just talked about, where EasyHoon would just have to put his wall down. Ryu knows it's a possibility, and Lulex will end up scouting it out for him.
Yep.
I think this is really smart by Lulex. You have to start getting some information
Still
here.
hasn't seen him, though.
Hasn't detected that, but does get the ward down on the Raptors. Now they know Lulex is coming around. They're going to try and make a play on this.
Yeah, ward thrown in. Lulex actually doing quite a bit of damage to Bengi early on. Here comes EasyHoon, though. The damage onto Lulex is scary. There's the flash. Lulex slowed down by the wall. Tries to avoid a gold card onto EasyHoon, but here comes Marin as well. Flash from Bengi. I don't think that's going to be enough damage. Oh, and Bengi taken out by Ryu. Although EasyHoon with the answering kill will keep the kill lead ahead for SKT. Meanwhile, down the bot lane, things get crazy, and Jarden taking a lot of damage. Will he actually live through this? He actually went back up. That is so
low.
brave, dude. SKT, Wolf very low as well. Has to bring that flash, and there's the Q. Bang gets the kill, and now Kessing is in a little bit of trouble too. Exhaust Wolf, unafraid of the thresh. Flash from the brush. He grabbed Bang, goes back in for the flame. Doesn't have the cooldown. Kessing goes down to Bang with the kill. That's 3 already for him in 5 minutes. It's looking bad for H2K.
That's a nice way to put it.
It's gone from bad to worse. We said level 1 was disaster. What is much worse than disaster? Catastrophe, maybe?
Apocalypse?
The thing is for H2K, this game is a bit of a gimme. They weren't expected to win, and it actually doesn't matter for them as far as advancing out of the group, because regardless of the results here, they still need to beat EDG to move out of this group. So we saw the mid lane play. The way this bottom lane play begun was actually kind of encouraging for H2K because they got Wolf low, but Yarden just wasn't expecting this Q to land. He had heal when that landed from Bang, so Bang surprised him with damage, and once that happened, when your AD carry dies with heal still up, you're asking yourselves to get double killed.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you can't keep going up against a Kalista like that with that low health.
All right, look at this. He's coming back into lane 2 with the Cutlass and a dagger already completed, so a huge advantage in that bottom lane for Bang and Wolf. He's playing this patiently, and we've got to start thinking about Ryu's teleports right now. Now, they still can save this game. It's not so far gone yet, but it's going to come down to whether they can actually secure kills in the side lanes. And with EasyHoon, he's turned around the lane. You can see he's very actively pressuring it. This is where you bottle up that Twisted Fate.
Yeah, if they can manage to take down that mid lane turret before Ryu is able to get anything done with his first ult or two, that's going to be a really tough thing for H2K to overcome.
And I do have to echo, that is the main way H2K would have any shot back in this game, which is why the Karthus pick is quite wise. He can keep the wave shoved up, which makes it easy to punish when Twisted Fate does leave lane, and he can also kind of answer just with his Rec Cream. Once he knows all the threats have left that lane, he could stand and basically use it immediately as the TF comes in for a little bit of an equalizer.
And that's up now, so it's yet another thing that Jarden in the bottom lane really needs to be aware of. I mean, we saw him kind of be risky with low health situations before. You can't do that with a level 6 Karthus on the field.
It does make it considerably more challenging. See Marin, interestingly, he's playing out the matchup. Both of our top laners double Doran's blades, so they're not rushing into any of their items. And playing the Darius a little bit more defensively this time around.
It's the closest matchup we've seen from Marin against an opponent. Is the way Ottawamne has been able to play him. This is the counter pick that Marin selected for him, essentially, earlier on in the week. And I like the way Renekton plays in this matchup because I feel like he has a lot of tools to get inside the Q range of Darius to not take the maximum damage, stun, get his damage out, and then also dice out afterwards. It's a clever pick, and I think Ottawamne is playing it pretty properly, but without an early jump and experience, the lane is still somewhat splitting.
Yeah, even though the slice and dice is just that small little dash, it's enough to get inside and land that W so you can get that efficient trade.
It seems like it'd be kind of scary for H2K, right? Even when you have Renekton teleporting in later on, I mean, you've got a lot of reasons to not want to be in melee range of SK Telecom.
Absolutely. Very much H2K picked this game for the laning phase, so if the laning phase falls apart, they're in even more trouble.
And here we go. Marin's TP is back up, just as a reminder, was down for a little bit, and now Wolf and Bengi just here to zone out the enemy duo lane and try and finish off this
even
tower
Karthus
early.
is
Oh, there it is. Requiem coming in, teleport coming into that turret, the bot lane as well, too. Wolf gets stopped up for a second. Darden stays alive for the moment, had to use not the summon hero quite yet. Bengi getting taken out by Ryu as he joins behind Ottawamne, making a big difference so far in this one. Nice explosive cast. Have they separated Easyun enough? Doesn't look like it. There's the flash from Easyun. Oh, the re-engage. Can Bang do enough damage to turn this one around? Nearly. Marin teleports in. He is ready to go. Lulex taking a lot of damage. Doesn't die from the ult, but there's another kill for Bang. And they managed to trade it fairly evenly in the end.
And Bang gets double buffs after that. Now, what SK Telecom did, they were overly aggressive on that tower right now. Marin, this was a problem I said earlier in the tournament, maybe a little bit late on these TPs, but they back them into a choke point where their AoE can be effective, and then that's when the TP comes in. H2K really over pursuing that one, and now Bang is even more of a problem than he was before. He's up 32 CS, 4-0 with double buffs.
Well, you did mention Bang having more successful games when Faker is out of the lineup and more team focus going towards that bottom lane. And I do actually have to say that the bottom lane gank there by SKT was not very clean. I kind of disagree with the Karthus roaming down so early because the Twisted Fate is naturally going to match that. You can use your Requiem from lane and then punish once the teleport comes in from the Twisted Fate. Even then, H2K does come in with Ottawamne. Darius was biding his time because SKT probably didn't think they needed him. And at the end of the day, it was a one-for-one trade. It's just the leads SKT had beforehand were huge.
Well, chilling smart on Ottawamne there. Bengi has to flash away as Ryu comes in, gets knocked up, to disengage just for SKT. Lulex pulled into turret range.
No.
Wolf is going to push Lulex farther into turret range. More damage onto him. Will he survive? Wolf just needs one more hit, basically. Marin flashes in, missed the Q, but got the auto, and there's going to be a pause. Another kill for SKT.
Yeah, I wonder if people are pausing for the Darius interaction.
We're throwing it back to the game right now as we're into it. Take it over, guys.
Thanks, and I just want to clear this up real quick because I've been talking to production during this whole pause, and the way the ruling happened, we are continuing to play the game. What happened was Ottawamne went to stun Bengi's Evelynn as Bengi was flashing away. The reason it paused is because it did not stun him after the flash. That is a bug and was confirmed as a bug. However, after the flash, no H2K players were in range to reach Bengi, so the referees are not allowing a remake or not offering a remake for that stun because they do not think it had a meaningful impact on the game.
Yeah, Lulex was close, but all his abilities were on cooldown and his flash had already been used.
Yeah, we also watched the clip many, many times to try and come to our own conclusions, and it didn't seem like Bengi was going to die or even take damage if the stun had landed.
Well, yeah, the only other person nearby you could say was Ryu. He was knocked up and still out of range of clicking for that gold card anyway, so no chance there as well. Meanwhile, Bang will take the first Dragon of the game for SK Telecom as we get back into the action between H2K and SKT here in our fourth game of the day.
And there we go.
There we go.
There we go. Bengi
Back in the game.
coming out on the side.
And Ryu slowed down. He's taking a lot of damage here. Could be in trouble. No flash for him. Gets very low. Red card thrown out, but Wolf comes in for a bit of bloodthirsty support kill stealing. That's how I like to come back from a pause.
Full combo, killing with the Alistair. This is looking like SKT 4,000 gold up. We also had a brief discussion during the pause about whether or not H2K would even want this remake because it's so hard for them to beat SKT, and they need to be able to keep their morale high for the next game against EDG. It's going to be an unfortunate thing for them that they have to come back from potentially getting beaten down pretty hard from SKT here and have the group-defining game against EDG.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Bengi and Wolf able to get into the enemy jungle now, take care of some wards. Throw down some of their own. Don't find that one. Nope, now they do. And this is kind of what I thought we'd see a little bit more of with SIêU KINH now. We're going to see maybe a little bit more room for Wolf and Bengi to play a little bit more like Score and Peekaboo. Get into the enemy jungle, throw down a lot of wards, get more vision control than we maybe see SK Telecom prioritize in other games.
Yeah. The funny thing about that is SIêU KINH is doing exceptionally well in lane.
Yeah.
So much of that is because Ryu burned both summoner spells at level 1, but it's not like SIêU KINH is sitting back and being non-aggressive.
Marin could be in trouble. Gold card lands, and I don't think there's any escape for him. Ryu with another kill. Meanwhile, some action down in the bot jungle. SKT steals the red.
And that's the gank that we were talking about to start off this game. That is such a great kill lane for H2K. Already has that Tiamat, a lot of damage coming out, and you can just chain stun into stun very easily. So Marin, I think, playing a little bit disrespectfully right here. We'll see what SKT can get for it. They are going to potentially punish this movement, but they're not. Ryu's right back in the lane, gets that red card. Noto Omne is going to get some turret damage down as well.
Yeah, Odo Omne getting a lot of damage done on that tier 1 turret up in top lane, and he may actually be able to take that out. In fact, I think he will.
It's absolutely huge.
The more ganks like that Ryu can get, the better. This injection of gold is actually pretty good for H2K in the grand scheme of the game. Despite all the bad things that have happened for them, 3,000 gold at 14 minutes is not insurmountable by any means, especially if Twisted Fate can get off good ganks without being punished.
Well, Ryu's stayed relevant. I mean, yeah, he's died 3 times, but he's also gotten 3 kills. He's way down in farm in lane, but if he can start making more of these ganks, maybe they could turn it around. Still a tall order, but yeah, they're doing what they need to do at this point anyway.
Definitely bouncing back, and QSS second now for Bang.
Why
so,
not?
I mean, when you get this far ahead, that's a great question. Why not? Okay, yeah. Well, you can QSS Hook, you can QSS the Renekton stun, you can QSS Gold card.
There's a lot of CC to worry about.
And because he has so much more money, it basically doesn't matter. I mean, he's up against a Jinx with a pickaxe and Berserker Greaves.
Yeah, the reason you wouldn't want to go QSS second item under normal circumstances is it puts you so behind the damage curve of the opponent AD carry. Hjarnan is sitting on enough gold to get a BF sword right now, but not even finish his Infinity Edge. Bang will maintain his lead. He has more than a QSS worth of gold ahead of him, so he still has better offensive capabilities, as well as not being able to get stunned for duration by TF now.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, right now, Bang is about 2,000 gold up on Hjarnan, so that's what's making it work.
Well, when you get first blood, 3 more kills after that, it helps quite a bit. Meanwhile, some action on the SIêU KINH in the mid lane, gets flayed in. Nice explosive cast. SIêU KINH in a lot of trouble. He's going to get taken out easily, and that is yet another kill for Ryu. The ganks are starting to happen for H2K.
Well, that's what this composition does. They are very good at making picks with this composition. See, Marin had missing that apprehend, but they do take down that tower in the top lane in response. You have to be very careful, and they
here's the dive.
Good pressure by H2K. They're trying to fight back Martin. 1v4 under the turret.
Yeah, gold card's going to lock him up, and that's all H2K needs for an easy kill. Hjarnan getting that one. A little bit of damage on the turret besides.
2 plays in a row, extremely crisply executed. If they can continue this rotation, it will be extremely impressive. Kill in mid, kill in bottom lane. Ryu used his teleport because he wants to save the mid lane turret, and he actually does. H2K is just destroying these last few minutes of the game.
Now they're going to get another turret here too, Hjarnan in this minigun form, and the play on the map has been pretty darn good for H2K. Playing this composition out beautifully, and this is a tough row to hoe for SKT because they don't really have a lot of siege here. They have a Callista and a melee Darius and a relatively short-range Karthus to try and punish this mid lane turret. The wave clear's there for H2K.
It's extremely hard to push against a Twisted Fate, especially one that has cooldown boots with home guard. Even if he needs to go back, he can get back to the lane as quickly as possible. And if it wasn't for H2K having all those pretty big missteps early in the game, their execution in the last 3 minutes would have been enough to actually pull them ahead of SKT. This is very promising for H2K as they look forward in this group, even if they don't win this game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the pause seems to help them get their heads on a little bit straighter here. The cohesion looks much better since the pause has ended. Wolf tries to make a play there on the Lulix, doesn't quite connect. That turret's starting to take a little bit of damage now. Dragon up in 20 seconds, too.
Ryu actually getting the Lichbane first here, so prioritizing some burst in the ganks as well as an opportunity to split push, because it's going to be difficult, especially with that teleport on SIêU KINH, to follow him up. So maybe looking for some more tower pressure here. And when you're behind, you need to just make those man-up plays. Go somewhere else, try and beat them 3v2, 2v1, something like that with a bit of burst from the Lich Bane, or just split push and don't fight them until you get back into the gold game.
Yeah, SKT gets an unopposed second dragon, and if they can keep this up, that's going to be cause for concern for H2K a little bit later. And I mean, how many times have we seen this in Korea, giving up a turret here and there, focusing on those dragons and coming out with that big advantage in the mid-late game. Oh, Bang loads up. Wolf goes in. There's a knockup, but Yarnin pushes him back. Out from under turret. Looks like a solid gank for SKT as Bang grabs another one. Meanwhile, Ryu with the 1v1 on EasyHoon. 1 for 1 on each side. 2
plays were happening at the same time right there. They traded flashes in the mid lane to get that kill. Bottom lane, they kind of traded flashes as well. Now it's all about the turret push. Trading an inner turret for an outer turret, though, is always an advantageous move.
Yeah, we'll see how far they want to push it, though. Looks like they may be collapsing up through the mid side, just pulling back, not going for an inhibitor turret quite yet.
Now they could take the red buff here on their way out, so it's jungle control if nothing else.
That was a great call from SKT too, because they saw the Destiny go up, and then they immediately knew that the TF wasn't going to the bottom side, and they could go ahead and make that play.
Yeah, let's check this one out again. Pretty easy gank onto Easy, and looks like AutoOmne helping out a little bit there as well. And Ryu with the flash gold card. A little bit of revenge.
So they ended up burning more on that gank than SKT burned on the gank in the bottom side, but they still did convert another kill onto EasyHoon.
And not only that, but the effect is, too, as soon as H2K backs, SKT walks up into the mid side, gets another turret, but still, you know, trading blow for blow a little bit, but SKT taking now incremental advantages after falling a little bit behind in the pressure game.
I feel like this is a little bit of what we saw in the first meeting between H2K and SK Telecom, where they managed to keep it fairly close in the early game, and although we had some weird stuff happen in this game, they made up for it. They made it close enough, but now, just like in game 1 between these two teams, SK Telecom starting to jump ahead a little bit every few minutes.
Question now becomes, how is H2K going to defend against SK Telecom's Dragon pressure? They have a very fed Kalista here.
Yeah.
SKT is going to look to close this game by repeatedly fighting around the Dragon and trying to secure it. So that means H2K, they need Dragon Vision because their pick comp has to intercept SK Telecom on the way to that objective.
Yeah, to me, H2K would want to wait as long as possible on that and only contest the 5th Dragon. Unless they can get... Honestly, that is the way European teams or North American teams have generally dealt with the Dragon Snowball. They wait until the last minute, hope to turn the game around before that point, and if they can't, then they fight exactly on the 5th Dragon, and it works much better than in other regions. So, for instance, in the LCK or the LMS, oh, there might be a fight coming into the mid lane. I'll get to it.
Could be, yep. Tarnit slowed down a little bit. Teleport's coming in for SK Telecom. Marin gets it with a big apprehend. They're going to get flayed as they try to chase down Kasing, and Lulax. Ryu on the run already, going to turn around for a little bit of damage. Kasing goes down. There's another kill for Marin. The second of the game, and a good fight for SK Telecom taking out that bot lane.
Marin instantly flash apprehended after TPing in right there because he knew he was going to have to deal with the slow coming in from the box. So really setting up that play well, getting the deep ward in so they had a teleport target.
Yeah, SKT might actually be at the point where they can apply Baron pressure on top of the Dragon Snowball because they're now at a 5,000 gold lead. But while it may not be super relevant to this game, basically, LCK teams, when they're up 4-0, and LMS teams in Dragons are like a 95% win rate. But North American and EU teams, when they're up 4 Dragons to 0, is more around a 70% win rate, only because the LCK and LMS teams don't let it get to that point at 4-0. So if they're going to lose, they usually lose contesting the 3rd or the 4th Dragon rather than the 5th.
Yeah, I mean, once you're on that 4 Dragon pressure, you basically need to win the team fight or you're done, right? It's a very risky situation to be in. H2K, though, losing a lot more than that Dragon game so far. Down 5 turrets to 3, and it is a 6,000 gold lead in 22 minutes, too, which is pretty substantial.
Looks like SKT may just be happy to play a little bit further back and wait this one out until the next Dragon fight, not really leaving themselves open to many kills. And now with the ward line, there aren't very many deep wards in for H2K, so you know, they have the vision control. They're just staying on their half of the map and waiting for the drag.
It feels like H2K has recovered from the flurry of action that H2K unleashed right after the pause. Before SKT actually made those nice plays in the mid lane, H2K did have deep ward lines into the red jungle as well, so that was a play they had set up, and essentially H2K's momentum has been broken.
Yeah.
They now need to have almost a lucky play in order to get back into this game, because they have to go into unvisioned territory against an Evelyn and Karthus, which is really, really dangerous.
Yeah, the setup already coming through from SK Telecom. You see backing getting 3 pink wards, waiting about a minute left before they push forward onto that objective. H2K with plenty of wards in the inventory too, though. The battle for vision will be incoming.
And the question is, I mean, with SK Telecom already having that vision advantage, you know, will H2K even really be able to get in and contest too much?
Yeah, they're going to try and just make sure, cover their bases, not let the Baron go here either.
Yeah.
We get some vision around that. Marin going back for one last recall.
H2K is playing off of their teleport advantage right now. They need to get Auto-Omni up a little bit more.
Oh, Bengi has a flash.
They're going to catch him.
Oh, he got gold carded. He got CC'd to death. And Kasing with the kill there. Meanwhile, more action as Auto-Omni tries to engage onto SK Telecom. Wolf pulled in with that Fate's Call, thrown back in again. But SKT with not a lot of follow-up. Wolf may not have wanted to go in there. There's a knock-up onto Auto-Omni. EasyHoon looking for some opportunities, putting down some Qs, and Marin just can't get in there. He needs to run. Auto-Omni flashing, banging a little bit of trouble. There's more damage coming in from Ryu. Bang,
oh, now they're inside Karthus.
Lulek's taking a lot of damage, and Karthus doing so much. Here comes a Requiem. Can he get any more? Gets one onto Kasing at the end of all of that. So it looks like it's going to be 2 for 1 in favor of SKT.
It's the second time this game that I think that H2K is really overextended for a play. The first one was responding to the tower dive in the bottom side. They had the advantage right there. They got the pick. Go ahead, stop the Dragon Snowball.
H2K has the right idea with so many of these plays. They had a teleport advantage, which meant they were kind of looking for a fight the instant that Darius showed on the other side of the map. But they got the Bengi pick essentially for free. They didn't need to then burn their teleport advantage and then force a slow fight up the mid lane, because if they just got the Bengi pick, they could have maintained their teleport advantage, kept split push pressure, and then actually forced a 4v3 with the threat of a 5v3. Instead, they just opted into a 5v4 after they got the initial pick.
Yeah, I mean, now it's starting to look like the desperation is setting in for H2K a little bit here as SK Telecom takes their 3rd Dragon in a row, really monopolizing the objective this time. Monopolizing the vision, too.
It's also, don't run into a Karthus.
Under turret.
Under turret. Don't do that.
Well,
it's one of those things now, we don't see very much Karthus played professionally these days, so sometimes you, as a team, have to readjust to how you play against a particular champion, but Karthus is getting scary now. His rod is maxed out in terms of stacks, has the Abyssal Scepter, and now he's starting to go into some more needlessly large rods. And he, of course, is going to be a monster in the late game if you give him that opportunity.
Uh-oh.
And the scary thing, too, is the scarier Karthus gets, if he hits one ult, Marin can just pentakill them.
The scarier Darius gets as well.
Scariest. That's what you call him now. Maybe not right now, but soon. Maybe after he gets a few more kills.
Resetting champions are just tremendous with Karthus. Karthus has kind of fallen so far out of meta that you don't see it that often, but the synergy is absolutely massive. The amount of upfront damage he can do, even if he just flashes into a team fight, dies, and ults, is almost enough to set up Marin for just 1 Q ultimate and then start the reset chain.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got champions like Renekton, Gragas, Thresh all going in, you're going to be sitting right on top of that Karthus if the team groups up on him.
I think we have to ask, too, how much more Karthus are we going to see this tournament in a meta where assassins are not very prevalent?
And Bengi, big ult on the H2K as they try to disengage. Nice, Wolf throws himself in there right onto Ryu. Ryu in trouble, shut down for Karthus, and they're continuing to push ahead. Marin comes in with a nice 2-man apprehend, a big Q onto Kasing and Yarnan in a lot of trouble after support goes down. SK Telecom tears apart H2K, and they're about to tear apart that Baron too.
It's another time Marin comes in with a really strong flash apprehend, and another play that is generated in the mid lane for SKT. H2K, all their plays have been about side lane control, but SKT is then attacking where H2K is weak. Ryu cannot teleport to stop a fight if he started on the fight, and now Lulek's, he's trying to be a miracle maker, but there's no way.
He wants to be the hero, but it's not going to get close enough as SKT takes a pretty easy Baron. Lulek's on the run now. We'll see if he gets out. He might be able to get himself executed in time.
I think that's the hope of this
Oh,
thing.
nope.
Slow him down.
Yeah, he slowed him a little bit.
But I think there's another friend coming.
Uh-oh, here comes Marin. Pulls him in. And a little bit of flare before he goes down. That's something at least, right?
So my point about Karthus, low assassin meta, teleport's very common, and you can follow, quote-unquote, people's teleports. with that ultimate, and we're going to take a look at this fight again.
Exactly. Ryu was up pretty far to try and keep the wave pushed, and it's also due to the lack of deep vision. H2K didn't have any idea there was the whole team running down the mid lane. They had no idea where anyone on SKT was. So really a positional error by Ryu there, and the rest is SKT just capitalizing and coming in with the big flank. No team at Worlds has been able to capitalize on opponent missteps as well as SKT.
And now they've got the Baron, so that solves some of their issues when it comes to setting up some of these sieges. Their composition is very well known for. Ryu there has to take the exit via the gate. A little bit worried after getting pushed out of the mid lane.
And he should be. Here comes Marin, blocked off by those Flame Chompers. You know, he didn't even need to use his teleport to get that flank last fight, so he still has that available. It's pretty scary as SKT moves into the mid lane, trying to take out that inhibitor turret.
Yeah. Baron buff and an Alistar, so not only do they get a long time to take down the turrets, if they do want to dive, if they can get the aggro onto Alistar, the reduced damage will be able to reduce the turret damage, which normal tanks can't do since the turret has 85% armor penetration. Straight damage reduction can get around that.
Well, for now, SKT held off. The wave clear is pretty good for H2K. Ryu can handle a lot of that, even if it is Baron buff. But it seems like it's only a matter of time. And a minute 30 until Dragon comes back into. Oh, there's a Requiem. SK Telecom going in. They want the turret. They're going to burn the Karthus ult to get it. And they will get it. Wolf comes in, takes a lot of damage. He's going to pop his ult just in time as SK Telecom chasing down H2K.
Bang!
The damage from Bang is insane right now. Double kill. Can he get more? Triple kill. I believe he may have, no, now Quadra yet, as Lulex and Odoamne still alive, but doesn't really matter. I think SKT is ready to end this one.
Beautifully executed play there, pushing them off the turret with EasyHoon, and then when H2K thought it was safe to come back in, that's when Wolf attacked.
That's right, and the attack is successful. The Nexus turrets go down. There goes the Nexus, and SK Telecom will close it out just shy of 30 minutes. It's another win for SKT. They're 5-0 in the group now.
Yeah, sets them up for a pretty solid first place performance in this group stage.
Yeah.
And now we have to turn and see H2K. You know, they fell behind early. They had that unfortunate death at level 1, which set Ryu really far behind. But honestly, credit to them. I think they actually played out that mid game quite well considering the deficit.
They really did.
SKT is on their way to a 6-0 group and has looked very dominant in this group. But for their games in particular, H2K has been much harder to beat than EDG was.
You know, honestly, I think H2K has the best games against their poor record in this tournament right now. They've been losing a lot, but their losses, they've still looked fairly good at certain points in them.
Yeah, H2K has had the right idea on a lot of plays. I do have to talk briefly on SKT here, though. They are on their way to a 6-0 group if they can defeat the Bangkok Titans at the very last game of the day.
Seems pretty likely.
And I wonder, last year there was so much talk about Samsung White and whether they could get the perfect run at Worlds. Well, currently, SKT, they might be going for that title as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to go for it as long as they can, I suppose. And with that win, too, I believe SKT does lock up first place in the group with a 5-0.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah. Yep. No one can do that.
Mathematically confirmed this time.
Mathematically confirmed. There we go. A little bit of math.
No one else can get to 5 wins.
That's right.
They have beaten everyone too many times for that.
And SKT, I mean, EasyHoon, it didn't seem like they really missed a beat, really, did they? I mean, the Karthus, such a different pick than we usually see from Baker, but they really were able to sort of integrate it into their team style very, very easily. Yeah. And that's what SK Telecom does. I mean, why not? So now we're going to send it over to the analyst desk for a little bit of a post-game recap.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now, very necessary win there for SKT in order to secure that first round, or rather first seed going into the bracket stages. But we're going to take this opportunity before we get into our next game to check in with the Twitter sphere, where you guys are sending in your questions for our resident Season 3 World Championship finalists with the hashtag AskTabe. Now we'll start with a tweet from @Bachiak, or Bachiak, which says, what do you do to prepare for a big match? Well, Tabe, what is it?